It's going to be Newcastle to kick off, and away we go at the Amex with European football sharply in focus for both of these two teams. Certainly not on the beach in May in Brighton. Newcastle in possession, kicking from right to left as I look at it, as Nick Pope is in possession, and now Dan Burn inside the penalty area, gets the ball out on the left-hand side to Livramento, and then just touched forward by Toniali, and then a header won by Brighton. Newcastle win a ball forward, but Van Hecke back in the side wearing 29, his blonde hair bouncing, gets the ball forward for Brighton, and no team has managed to get the ball under yet, but Tonali has now. Toniali comes forward, that's a lovely run down the left-hand side, he's into the Brighton half, and a strong challenge comes in there, really good challenge, but it's a cross in from Barnes, and there is Verbruggen. Barnes got there first, really good pace from him. It was a good challenge there, coming across from Belieber, but fast start from Newcastle.
Yeah, certainly was, and just Barnes there just kind of latching on to the ball after Belieber had to come across. Strong run from Tonali down this left-hand side. Belieber having to come across, makes a tackle, ball just dropped into Barnes, and he just flies past Van Hecke, who gets drawn out of that centre-half position, but not the best cross in the end, comfortable for Verbruggen.
Guimaraes wins the ball on halfway and then plays it out to the right to Alexander Isak, corner of the penalty area, right hand side, couple of step overs, decides to turn back away from goal, three in the middle waiting for a cross here, goes back to Trippier and then Murphy. Trippier is forced to go back all the way to Cher on the halfway line, and Newcastle keeping possession. Let's get full time at Old Trafford with Betty Glover.
It's finished United 2, City 2. It had everything this game. An early disallowed goal for United. We saw City score 2 in 4 minutes, but United with their perfect response. Clinton pulling one back 3 minutes later. The second half had just as much drama. United drawing level through Mallard. Even Mannion shown a second yellow. City did everything to try and get the winner. They couldn't do it. United held on, and they will be playing in the Champions League next season. United 2, City 2.
Thank you, Betty. Good run from Minter here, and a throw in for Brighton, right hand side. And Brighton in possession with Weaver, who just skips over the challenge of Guimaraes, and Brighton have possession in the sunshine on the halfway line, and it's 0-0 on 5 live. So Verbruggen in goal for Brighton, the back four of Weaver, Dunk, Van Hecke and Estupinian, and then Belieber and Hinchelwood holding, Adingra, O'Reilly and Minter ahead of them, and then up front Danny Welbeck. No João Pedro, of course, for Brighton. They're still in possession with Van Hecke inside the centre circle, halfway line, plays the ball out to the right hand side. Weaver with good feet, and they keep possession, Brighton, and Newcastle back in their shape, and they're going to try and unpick it on the left hand side. They've picked out Adingra, who's forced back. Danny Gabidon, early thoughts?
It's been a bright start from both teams. I mean, Newcastle, in general, their away form's been quite good this season. They rank 4th in the Premier League for their away form, but where they have struggled a little bit is winning games against the current kind of top 11. 1 win in 8 against the current top 11, and part of the problem has been not starting the game sharp enough and conceding that first goal. But
well, that was a good run from Willock, but even better defending from Belieber, who managed to snuff it out so quick. And yeah, Willock going down the left-hand side. Belieber came across. It's a free kick for Brighton in the centre. Yeah, away from home against the top 11 or 12, Newcastle have struggled, you're saying?
Yeah, they have. Just 1 win in 8 games against the top 11, so and conceding the first goal early in games has been a bit of an issue, but it's been a fast start from both teams. The ball kind of changing hands quickly. You know, we're used to kind of Brighton under previous managers just dominating possession, slowing the game down. They play slightly different now under the new manager, where they will go direct, as you see here. Van Hecke.
Big long crossfield ball from Van Hecke. Van Hecke looking for Danny Welbeck, and Adingra on the left hand side now. Checks, goes back inside. Brighton in possession midway inside the Newcastle half. That ball looks overhit, but Minter will chase it and keeps it in by the corner flag. Goes to ground, but no foul, and he's got his back to the corner flag, trying to get a cross in. It's deflected, doesn't go out for a corner, and it's gathered by Nick Pope in green. who gathers it into his chest. So Nick Pope in goal for Newcastle, back for Trippier, Byrne, and we've got a player down here, it's Minter, who's just holding his right knee, so he's going to get some attention. Dan Byrne and Fabian Schär, the centre-backs, Tino Livramento at left-back, then Tonali, Guimaraes and Willock, of course, in for Joe Linton, and then Murphy on the right, Barnes on the left, and Isak up the top. Not sure what happened there, Danny. Just having a look at a replay.
Yeah, he initially did really well. Minter, that cross was overhit. He did really well to kind of keep it in by the corner flag, and he's just holding Livramento off and just looks to twist and turn, and he manages to kind of get free and get to the byline. And I'm not sure if it's just in the action of crossing the ball into the box there, where he possibly maybe on the landing after crossing, looks like he's jarred his knee in some way. Just looking at the physio here, kind of flexing his knee up and down. Obviously Minter, ex-Newcastle player that Eddie Howe didn't actually want to get rid of, but had to kind of for FFP purposes, I think. But looks, he's back up to his feet and looks like he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's just flexing it as he goes off, raising that right knee up and down, and comes off the pitch after receiving treatment, but he is going to come back on. Goalless here after 6 minutes at the Amex on 5 Live, and also goalless between Brentford and Manchester United, and West Ham and Spurs in the other 2 o'clock kickoffs. And we've got Alistair Bruce Ball with you at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea versus Liverpool a little later, as Newcastle go down the right with Murphy, puts in a low cross, and that's gathered at his near post by Verbruggen, who are all in turquoise, has the ball in his white gloves, placed to his midriff, and he'll get ready to roll or kick, bounces it a couple of times, and he's got Isak there trying to put him off, and Isak just moves out of the way at the last minute, and a kick downfield is headed forward by Byrne, but picked up by Van Hecker, who plays a ball forward. Hinchelwood in midfield, lip of the centre circle, strokes the ball along the turf to the right to Estupinian, and now back to Hinchelwood again. There are thoughts that he might play at right back. Hinchelwood, you're never sure really with Weaver in him. He can play a number of positions, Hinchelwood, as the low ball goes in from Weaver, and Saliba's done well there, and got hold of the ball. Saliba, very good from him, keeping possession. Brighton, they're 30 yards from the Newcastle goal, and Newcastle fans behind the goal to my right in their black and white stripes, most of them standing as the offside flag goes up. Free kick Newcastle.
And you just see the kind of the change tactically a little bit from Brighton in these opening minutes, where you're just looking at Verbruggen there kicking the ball long out of his hands. You just never would have seen that under the previous manager, Roberto De Zerbi. Then when they get it into those kind of forward areas, then they're looking to get on the ball and kind of control things. Belabour with some lovely feet in that central area to just keep possession for Brighton. Nothing really coming of the attack in the end, but slightly different tactically, Brighton, from what we've seen in previous seasons.
Pope aims his kick long and diagonally, but doesn't find a Newcastle head, and Brighton put the ball out of play off the challenge of Murphy, and it's going to be a throw-in for Brighton midway inside their own half. Newcastle have never won at the Amex in the Premier League. 4 draws, 3 defeats, and for Brighton, Newcastle their best home opponent in their Premier League history, as Byrne is backtracking and thinks about going back to Pope, but decides to take the ball out to the left, and he's almost kept it in Newcastle hands, but it's gone out off the toe of Livramento, and it's a free kick to Brighton. And that was some good harrying and hassling there by Minter, who showed no ill effects of his knee or whatever it was he jarred a little bit earlier, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Burn showing good pace there as well, though. You'd fancy Minter, that ball played in behind Dan Burn, to have the acceleration on him, but he didn't. Showed good pace, Dan Burn, to get onto that ball first and tidy up the situation, but not a situation you want to be in too often as a centre-back, with that ball getting turned in behind you.
Nice little touch from Livramento, and that draws some applause from Eddie Howe, who is standing on the edge of his technical area in his tight tracksuit bottoms, and he's got, I'd say a decent sized coat on, not full Arsene Wenger, but definitely padded, and his hands in pockets as he watches from the edge of his technical area. And his opposite number, Herzl, has gone for a gilet. They're right down in front of us here in their blue technical areas. Newcastle in deep possession inside their own half with Kieran Trippier. Good noise inside the Amex. European football at stake on 5 Live. No goals after 10 minutes. And the same Brentford versus Manchester United and West Ham versus Spurs. We'll keep you all across a lot of the other sport this afternoon as well. The snooker, of course, the final of the World Championships as the ball is chipped forward towards Livramento. Goes off Minter. Throw in for Newcastle midway inside the Brighton half. Let's get an update actually from Brentford, Manchester United. Sahel Sahi.
11 minutes played here, John. Brentford 0, Manchester United 0. The home side have started well. After 4 minutes, long ball into the penalty area. Luke Shaw with a header back to his goalkeeper. Miscommunication between him and Bayern. It just sneaked past the far post. Then Shardo with an effort just outside the 6-yard box. He blazed his effort over the top. Brentford 0, Manchester United 0.
Here's Barnes with the effort, left-footed, and he's just put it wide. Did he get a touch off the keeper? I don't know if it did. Just going to check here, the referee with his assistant. Yeah, it is a corner for Newcastle.
And it's just a long ball played forward into the channel. Weaver and Van Hecker get in a muddle. They don't deal with the situation, and Barnes gets onto it down the left-hand side of the 18-yard box, and it's on a bit of a tightish angle on that weaker left foot of his, and just fires a shot low through the legs of Van Hecker. And Berger not quite sure his angles, feels he needs to make the save, does get a slight touch on it.
Corner then for Newcastle, their first of the game. 11 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Newcastle 0. Cher and Byrne are in there. In it comes, high, swirling. Byrne goes up with it, and just a little bit of sort of turning his back and clattered into the defender. And it is going to be a Brighton free kick in their own penalty area.
He did that quite a lot, Newcastle, where Dan Byrne just positions himself kind of on that far post area, and they just kind of hang the ball up for him to attack, and he was looking to attack that, but it was actually Matt O'Reilly who did a really good job winning the header.
Verbruggen plays the long ball forward. Dan Byrne wins the header, but then here's Welbeck, live at the centre circle and now bringing the ball forward. Now they've got it on the left here with Adingra, who moves the ball to Welbeck, 25 yards out. Now Believer's going to hit one left-footed, and we know what happened last time he did that from way out. It comes off the legs of a defender, and Brighton have the ball inside their own half. Let's get an update then from West Ham Spurs. Aaron Paul.
West Ham 0, Tottenham 0. A pretty sedate, chilled start to this game. No real efforts to test either goalkeeper, although West Ham have looked more than likely to try and strike. West Ham 0, Tottenham 0.
You've got a choice of listening on the BBC Sport website, BBC Sounds, as Newcastle have possession. We're on 5 Live, but you can catch those other 2 o'clocks as well, as Willett goes towards the byline and misses his kick but still has possession somehow. And now it's with Livramento. Now Tonyali. Now back with Cher on the right. Bodies forward here for Newcastle. To the byline. In comes a low cross. Still not cleared. Guimaraes inside the penalty area. Back to goal. Tonali. Now on the right, they've got a chance to cross again. Little dink cross, but doesn't find Barnes at the far post, and Verbruggen plucks it out the sky, and it's 0-0-0.
Yeah, 2 decent opportunities for Murphy down that right hand side to service the box, and he's not able to pick a Newcastle player out, but it comes from good pressure initially from Newcastle to win the ball back up high and up the pitch. Weaver giving the ball away, good pressure from Livramento. They move the ball from kind of left to right, and seen a couple of decent runs from Murphy just off the ball down the side of the 18-yard box. He's got in on both occasions, just lacked the end product with the delivery.
Brighton in possession, halfway line with Welbeck. Forward comes Adingra down the left-hand side. He's level with the penalty area now. Goes onto his right foot, moving goalwards, switches the play. This is good from Brighton. Here's Weaver. Now maybe Believer might strike it. Checks back onto his right foot. Good challenge. Comes in. Newcastle have won the ball back. We've got a goal at Brentford. Sahel Sahi.
Brentford 0, Manchester United 1. The goal coming after 14 minutes through Mason Mount. A break down the left-hand side. Garnacho with the assist. Mount with the finish, 6 yards away. His first of the season. Brentford 0, Manchester United 1.
Still 0-0 at the Amex between Brighton and Newcastle. Newcastle on the ball at the moment. They have a throw in on the far side, 15 yards inside the Brighton half, right hand side, and Trippier throws it back to Fabian Schär. It's very much you attack then we attack at the minute, isn't it?
It's been a very good start to the game. Good atmosphere inside the Amex.
Goal at West.
Both teams have turned the ball over as well, and it's kind of making it a really kind of exciting game because both teams are counter-attacking off the back of that.
Sorry, Danny. Goal at West Ham versus Spurs. Aaron Paul.
Spurs a goal up in, West Ham 0, Spurs 1, and it's a nightmare for Max Kilman, caught in possession. Matthias Tell able to just pick up the ball, square foot on the ball, he buried the ball past the goalkeeper, shock around the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Spurs 1.
Minter's gone down here under a strong challenge, and the crowd around us don't like that. If you want to follow that game, by the way, West Ham United versus Spurs, BBC Sport website, Brentford versus Manchester United on Sports Extra. What do you make of that challenge, Danny? We're just watching the replay now.
I was just waiting. He definitely catches Minter. The ball's just played down the line there.
It's Dan Burn, isn't it?
Yeah, comes running across, gets nothing on the ball. Minter touches it past him, and it definitely looks like there's contact there, but Craig Pawson actually given a throw into Newcastle.
Craig Pawson, our referee, he kind of half pulled out of it, Burn, didn't he? But he was certainly going at some rate when he put the brakes on, as the ball over the top, a straight ball over the top, looks for Willock, and it bounces once, bit of backspin on it, and just goes into the arms of Verbruggen. Straight ball from Schär over the top towards Willock, who's jogging back with some bandaging on his right wrist and thumb, as the ball goes out of play for a Newcastle throw level with their own penalty area on their left. Cloudy day in Sussex and chilly. Lots of the stewards apparently haven't got their winter coats because they didn't look at the forecast to dish them out, so a lot of stewards aren't wearing coats and look a bit chilly, I think it's fair to say. About 14, 15 Celsius, something like that, and it's breezy. There's Brentford trailing Manchester United, as you've heard, and West Ham trailing at home to Tottenham, and here it's Brighton 0, Newcastle 0, and we've had 17 minutes as Brighton are in possession, as Newcastle apply the press. Still in possession though, Brighton, 15 yards inside their own half, and already beaten Newcastle twice this season. Brighton, as Danny mentioned a little bit earlier on, Brighton last beat a team 3 times in one season, 2009-10. It was Wickham in League One, just to press home how far Brighton have come in the last 15 years. That's a ball over hit by Brighton, out for a throw-in to Newcastle United, midway inside their own half on the right-hand side. No Jason Tindall with Eddie Howe in the technical area today. He's suspended, picked up his 3rd yellow card of the season against Ipswich, which means a one-match touchline ban. So he's sitting behind us, and we'll do the report from the stand for Eddie Howe at half-time. So he's not got his right-hand man there with him. Reports linking Jason Tindall with the QPR job this week after Marty Cifuentes was placed on gardening leave, as Newcastle are in possession. That's a good ball. Barnes down the left-hand side. He's got Livramento overlapping. Here is Livramento, 3 in the middle waiting for a cross, intercepted by Van Hecker at the near post, dribbling towards the touchline, and it's gone out for a throw into Newcastle, and they've taken it quickly. Livramento in casual possession. Toniali goes back to Burn on the halfway line with Schär. Tonali on the left, orange boots, tattoos covering both arms. The Italian looks up, plays the ball inside. Livramento's drifted inside from fullback, and now Schär will whip a ball out to the right-hand side to Murphy. Down the line it goes to Guimaraes. Steps on the ball, level with the 18-yard box, right-hand side, right-hand touchline, but is forced to go back. Brighton keeping their shape at the moment. And here's Burn. Crisp pass into the feet of Barnes, who comes in field. Toe pokes the ball to Isak. First little sighter he's had. Doesn't let it fly with his left foot. Pokes the ball through towards Willock. It's overhit. Willock hadn't made the run, and it's through to Verbruggen 0-0.
It's good movement from Isak though. He has that ability not just to kind of run in behind, but he's good at kind of just dropping off those two centre-backs and finding those pockets of space and looking to link play. Ball's just played into his feet there. He's just dropped off the two Brighton centre-backs. He's looking to feed the ball in behind. Didn't quite get it right on that occasion, but it was really good football from Newcastle there. Patient in possession and just looking to probe after.
Brighton are in possession in the centre circle on the halfway line with Van Hecke. We were expecting goals today as the ball's over the top towards Welbeck, headed away by Newcastle, but only as far as Matt O'Reilly. And now Newcastle back into their shape again as Brighton have a spell of possession with Hinchelwood, and they're forced back to the halfway line now. We're expecting goals. 56 goals, 55 against this season for Brighton. The last 11 games involving Brighton, there's been at least 3 goals. 45 goals in the last 11 games, 4.1 goals a game. Of course, Newcastle have just won 3-0 and lost 4-1 at Villa. It isn't quite that game yet, is it?
Plenty of time, John. Plenty of time.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time. Plenty of time. Patience. And that's what Brighton are showing now, actually. 5 yards inside the Newcastle half, centre field with Hinchelwood, and now Belieber, and now Weaver. Belieber again. He's got Isak and Willock for company. Goes back to Van Hecke, who drags his studs across the ball in front of him and then plays the ball down the right-hand side, looking for Weaver. And Livramento's had his boot trodden on there, and there's a white boot with a lime green flash lying on the turf without a foot in it as he's lost his shoe, and it's a free kick for Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Weaver just accidentally just catches the foot here. Livramento gives the foul away.
Free kick for Newcastle. Then let's go racing to Newmarket, to the Dahlia Stakes and John Hunt.
And they're approaching the final 2.5 furlongs here, with Secret Satire taking the field of 5 along. Last year's Guineas winner Al Malka, she's trying to come with her effort over on the far side. Beautiful Love is next, with Cinderella's Dream travelling strongly in behind. She's breezing along, Cinderella's Dream, and running lines on the stand side. The 5 runners then across the track, not separated by very much. Final furlong ahead of them, and Cinderella's Dream, my word, she's found an excellent turn of foot to leave El Malka and the rest behind in the blink of an eye. The second impressive winner of the day, Cinderella's Dream, my word, she's got it. That was a tremendous win. She passes the line 4 lengths clear of the Guineas winner, Emalka. Still awaiting our opening goal with you at the Amex, John.
Yeah, just Cinderella's Dream, just winning after Livramento had lost his slipper as well. So that's very, very apt. As the ball's out of play for a throw into Newcastle on the right-hand side. We'll be back with John for the 1,000 guineas at 3:35. Danny Gabidon is with me here. How are you settling in, Danny? In amongst the fans we are here, because they've got the new tunnel club here. So we've been sort of pushed to the side. So we've got Brighton fans literally within touching distance.
Yes, we have.
And as a former Palace player who knocked them out of the playoffs, feel all right?
I did actually say that earlier to the 2 lady stewards in front of me and told them not to tell anybody. So yeah, I've got my hat on here and I'm keeping as quiet as possible. Still trying to figure out what Belieber was doing there. He had an opportunity there to face play and look to play a probing pass, and he almost looked in 2 minds and ended up trying to go square, tried to go out wide and got the pass totally wrong. Initially came from good crossfield ball to Adingra, and I just would have liked to have seen him have a go at Kieran Trippier, but very reluctant to. Came back inside, back into that central area, back into Belieber, and he was the one who eventually then gave the ball away.
I've got a dad in front of me trying to apply a bobble hat to a reluctant youth, but he has accepted the bobble hat now and it's gone on. And we've got Livramento down receiving some treatment at the moment because of a challenge from Minter. It didn't look like much, to be honest, the challenge, but Livramento certainly hurt himself. Back up on his feet now, and that's why the crowd are booing. He's still not right. Still holding his right leg at the moment. Let's go for an update then. Spurs versus Chelsea with Sarah Mulkerins.
9 minutes gone. It's Spurs 0, Chelsea 0. 9 changes to the champions Chelsea, and they do look a little bit disjointed. Tottenham are having the best of the play so far. Bethany England whipped in a lovely ball, cross from the left. The onrushing Charlotte Grant couldn't quite get to it. Spurs on top here. It's 0-0.
Thank you, Sarah. As the ball's played forward by Newcastle, it's overhit. It's yet to really get going this game. It's Verbruggen going to have a goal kick. 25 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Newcastle 0. We'll go for an update from Birmingham in the Women's Championship with Emily Herbert.
Birmingham City 0, London City 0. Remember, the entire season has come down to today. Promotion to the WSL is on the line. Birmingham must win. London City only need a draw. End to end so far, 11 minutes in, 0-0.
Brighton in possession here, midway inside their own half with Dunk, who's striding forward. 16th season at Brighton, the captain, towards halfway. This nice from Brighton. They're in possession. That's really good football. And here goes through the middle with a really strong run there, Adingra. But he's just overplayed it slightly. Just showed too much of it to Dan Burn. And then Livramento with his left foot puts the ball out of play. Just got his pass down the line to Barnes wrong. And it's a throw in for Brighton midway inside the Newcastle half. And Van Hecker picks it up 0-0. That's a poor pass though, and it's intercepted well by Joe Willock, and Willock is away and he's got some help. He's into the penalty area, left hand side, Joe Willock, who goes for goal. Wrong choice, and he's put it over the crossbar with his right foot. And really, Newcastle should have potentially had an effort on goal there that was from someone a bit better placed, Danny Gavidon.
Yeah, he's been very good though, Willock, so far. Shown great energy, runs in behind. It's Hinchelwood who plays a square ball which gets cut out and sets Newcastle on the attack. Willock down this left-hand side, driving into the 18-yard box. He's got Isak on that far post demanding the ball, and he actually, it's almost a left-footed strike, and he goes with the outside of his right foot and not able to keep it down. Just whips it over the top of the bar. Good opportunity.
Here go Brighton down the left-hand side, now into the penalty area. It's Adingra on his right foot, gets a little nudge. They want a free kick, not given. Newcastle have possession. They'll come away with Tonali on the halfway line. Right hand side now, it's with Guimaraes, who stands on the ball, plays the ball forward, looking for Isak. We've got another goal at Brentford. Sohail Sahi.
It's the equaliser. Brentford 1, Manchester United 1 after 27 minutes. A long throw wasn't cleared by the Manchester United defence. It fell to Damsgaard. He poked it towards goal. It came off a deflected Luke Shaw's chest, and it deceived Bayindir. Brentford 1, Manchester United 1.
And that commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, as that's a nice little ball into the feet of Hinchelwood in the penalty area for Brighton. Away to my right, in comes a cross. It's headed away by Livramento. Weaver picks it up. Some space here in the penalty area now for Brighton. On the left foot, surely a strike and a goal! It's a brilliant goal. Took a little deflection, but Minter, against his former club, has put Brighton 1-0 up. And their quest for Europe is still very much alive. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0.
It's the first opportunity really that Brighton have had. They've got in and around Newcastle's 8-yard box, but the end product hasn't been good enough. But on this occasion, it's fantastic. Initially starts from an attack out on the left-hand side. Adingra whips the ball into that far post. Livramento clears. They do a really good job, Brighton, recycling possession. Weaver, quick ball into Minter on this right-hand side, and somehow, with 3 or 4 Newcastle bodies in and around him, he's able to cut inside on that favoured left foot, and he whips a shot into that far corner. As you say, possibly takes a little nit, I think, off Dan Burn, and flies into that far corner. From a Newcastle point of view, you've got Livramento there, Tonali, Dan Burn, Willock, all there, but none of them take charge of the situation. He's able to cut inside and just whips it into that far corner. Fantastic finish.
Just came off Dan Burn's temple, which put it more towards the corner. He sort of went down in a cricket long barrier to try and block the shot, turned his head, hit him on the temple, and it just took it a little bit further away from the goalkeeper. It's Minter's 6th Premier League goal of the season, and goals going in everywhere on 5 Live. We've got a goal at West Ham. Aaron Paul.
Equaliser, West Ham 1, Tottenham 1. Who else but Jared Bowen? Played in down the right by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Bowen held his one beautifully, went towards the byline, and with his left foot just put the ball through the legs of Guillermo Vicario. West Ham 1, Tottenham 1.
Free kick for Newcastle on the halfway line. 1-0 down. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. 29 minutes of the game gone on 5 Live. Trippier's going to float in a little free kick towards the edge of the area. Dan Burn is up there, sort of hits him on the chest, and it's cleared away by Brighton. And we will go to the Magic Weekend. Huddersfield versus Hull. Matt Newsom.
Yeah, a couple of tries to tell you about. Huddersfield Giants 12, Hull FC 10. A piece of magic from Adam Clune at the Magic Weekend. A tying bridge pass out to the corner, and it was finished off by Jacob Gagai, and then a beautiful offload tumbling by Davy Litton puts Lewis Martin in for Hull. The kick was missed, so the advantage is with Huddersfield. Huddersfield 12, Hull FC 10.
Thank you, Matt. 1-0 Brighton here. 1-1 between Brentford and Manchester United, and West Ham and Tottenham on 5 Live, and you're up to date. We'll bring you all the latest from the World Snooker Championship final as well this afternoon, as the ball's cleared by Brighton, comes off the legs of a Newcastle player, and Tonali is trying to get hold of the ball. It's cleared away by Belieber. Long straight ball through the middle, and running on towards it is Minter. Out comes Nick Pope, who hoofs it up in the air, and it's Brighton ball. Is a free kick for Newcastle. Midway inside the Brighton half, and the home fans don't like that. Danny Gavidon.
I think it was a foul. Clumsy, just going into the back of the player there. So I don't think he can have any complaints. Weaver there just needed to hold his ground, but played a good part in the goal. Weaver just recycled possession on the edge of that 18-yard box, and it was that quick ball to Mintz on the right-hand side of the 18-yard box. And from a Newcastle perspective, John, I think Livramento will be disappointed with his role in the defending of the goal. You know, I think a right footer playing left back almost is a little bit easier when you're playing against a left footer cutting inside, you would think, but he allows him to come inside too easily, doesn't do enough to kind of try and block the shot. He's got help around him as well, but nobody really takes charge of the situation. They allow Minter to get that shot off too easily.
Free kick for Newcastle, floated in. Dan Burn wins the header, but there's Belieber with not his best strike, as he sliced it high into the air. I think he's actually gone backwards, and it's gone out for a throw into Newcastle, level with the 18-yard box of Brighton on the left. Tonali, plenty of Newcastle shirts forward here, not got a good record at the Amex. Newcastle, ball down the line looking for Jacob Murphy, intercepted, and it's a throw in on the far side again for Newcastle, who were in possession, trying to get one back before half time. 32 minutes gone on 5 Live, keeping possession. Brighton back in the block. Nice little ball around the corner with the outside of the right foot from Willock to Livramento, and now Barnes will face the Brighton goal and run, and then get it to Willock, and gets it to Tonali and tries to get the ball back to him, and it's cleared deep, far away by Brighton and deep into the Newcastle half. We've got another goal at Brentford. Sahel Sahi.
Brentford have taken the lead. They lead Manchester United now by 2-1. A little bit controversial because Matheus de Ligt has gone down just outside the penalty area. He asked for play to stop, but Anthony Taylor allowed the play to continue. They headed towards the dead ball line. Brentford pulled the ball into the penalty area, and Schade was there to head it home. His second goal in consecutive games. Brentford 2, Manchester United 1.
So we've got goals in all of our 2 o'clock kickoffs here on 5 Live, and you can follow that game on Sports Extra right now. You can go to the BBC Sport app as well and follow our commentaries of these 2 o'clock matches. More Premier League commentaries than anyone else. 5 Live as Newcastle attack down the left-hand side with Harvey Barnes, and came off Barnes last, and that's ironic cheers from the Brighton fans who feel that they hadn't quite got a couple of decisions in the last 5 minutes, but they've got this throw in deep in their own half on the right.
Yeah, scored really with their first meaningful attack. I think Newcastle probably looked the more dangerous of the two teams, had gotten in around Brighton's 18-yard box a lot more. And then the first time they show a little bit of quality, Brighton, a Dingo on the left-hand side getting involved, and then obviously the opposite winger, Minter, coming up with a goal.
Here's Barnes. Barnes is going to strike it right-footed against the legs of the defender. Still Harvey Barnes, dinks one across. Underneath it is Isak, and a defender wins the header, goes over his own crossbar, and I think Verbruggen just had to help it over there, and it's a corner to Newcastle.
Yeah, wanted the foul. Van Hecker felt he was being pushed in the back by Isak. They win the ball back quickly. Newcastle spread it wide to the right hand side. Barnes has a pop, comes back to him, and he just dinks the ball to that far post and does well. Van Hecker, he's kind of backpedaling. I thought he was going to just kind of flick that on behind him, but he heads it towards his goalkeeper, and as you say, John,
corner from the left, swung in deep. Byrne is there, doesn't win the header. They've done well there, Brighton, 2 of them on Dan Byrne back there, and they've cleared the ball away left-footed. Guimaraes slips and Brighton get possession. And it's just overhit, looking for the run of Adingra, and Pope comes out and then half volleys the ball forward, spinning high. Byrne stayed forward and he picks up the ball with a nice first and second touch, and Newcastle are in possession, showing a bit more intent now down the right hand side. They've got it with Isak, now Tonali in the centre of midfield, now Byrne, and now Livramento. And 30 yards from the byline on the left, it's with Willock, and now Livramento again, who's forced back towards halfway. Cher in his green boots plays a pass with his instep across the turf to the right to Murphy. That's a nice ball. Tonyali had made a good run. Now Trippier's got a chance to cross. High hanging cross to the far post. No one wins the header, and then it's an acrobatic bicycle click clearance from the goal scorer from Brighton. Enjoyed that one.
Yeah, doing really well there, Minter. Obviously got his goal, but period of defending here now for him. He is very deep. He's almost sat as a right back at the minute and doing his defensive work on the far post there, but an acrobatic overhead kick to clear his lines.
9 minutes plus added time to half-time, and Newcastle trail 1-0 on 5 Live as Tonali's in possession. Square to Byrne, now Livramento midway inside the Brighton half. Nice little drop of the shoulder from Barnes into the feet of Isak. Lovely football this from Newcastle. Guimaraes saved by Verbruggen comfortably to his right, but that's the best move Newcastle really have put together.
Yeah, lovely football starting on that left hand side. Ball square into Harvey Barnes. He's able to turn, and the timing of Isak's movement as well off that, just to drop off those 2 central defenders. Ball comes into his feet, lays it back off, and it finishes in the end with a strike from Guimaraes on his left foot. Comfortable save for Verbruggen, one you'd expect him to make, but really good football from Newcastle.
6 clean sheets, only 6 clean sheets this season for Verbruggen. Only 22, the Dutchman. Here's Livramento, and again a nice drop of the shoulder and some space for Barnes to run into. He likes this. Harvey Barnes in great form, but he's tried to go between 2 Brighton defenders and he's been dispossessed, and Byrne has got to be quick in front of Minter, who looks up for it today, the Brighton goal scorer against his former club. He goes back, Byrne, to Pope, and now Newcastle will get the ball forward to Barnes again. He just took his eye off it and miscontrolled. He was in a really good position there, Barnes, but it just bounced in front of him. He just took his eye off it and it went through for a throw-in to Brighton.
I'm just looking at the positions of Minter and Adingra on that left-hand side. They are playing wide, but they are also going central as well, and they're looking to kind of make those runs on the transition when they win the ball back, and they're trying to get in between the full-back and the centre-back. We've seen Minter on a couple of occasions where he's kind of positioned himself almost on Dan Byrne. He's looking for that ball down the side. Adingra the same on the left-hand side, and hasn't quite come off yet.
Free kick, late challenge on Tonali, 5 yards inside their own half here for Newcastle United, and taken quickly. The live league table has Brighton in 8th, above Bournemouth, who got that terrific win against Arsenal yesterday, a point ahead of Bournemouth on 54 points. And Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham fans all in the rather bizarre situation that they're hoping for a Manchester City FA Cup final win against Crystal Palace because of all the different permutations in terms of European football this season. But it does make for an exciting run-in underneath the champions Liverpool, of course, with Newcastle in 4th at the moment. They could well go 3rd as the ball's out for a throw-in on the far side for Newcastle United. trailing 1-0. And we'll go for an update from the Women's Championship and Emily Herbert at Birmingham.
Birmingham City 0, London City 0. Birmingham need a win today to secure promotion to the WSL, and they've had the better of the chances so far. Shots inside the 6-yard box from Hyun Min, headed off the line by Boy Hilaoka. But if it stays like this, it's London City who will be promoted. They only need a draw, end to end, still goalless.
Thanks, Emily. Livramento in possession for Newcastle. He's on quite the run here from left to right and finds Willock. And now Newcastle in a good position on the right with Murphy. Nice little 1-2. Murphy to the byline. Big chances here, but good defending by Brighton. Trippier, though, whips the ball back to Guimaraes in the penalty area. Tries to go through a Brighton defender and is fouled Adingra. And it'll be a free kick to Brighton in their own penalty area. And we'll go to the WSL, to Spurs, Chelsea and Sarah Mulkerins.
25 minutes gone, still goalless. Spurs firmly on top so far. Beth England is playing a blinder so far. She's been involved in everything going forward. She unleashed Neville down the left. She played in a nice cross, but unfortunately the Holt wasn't there to get a head to it. It's Spurs on top, Chelsea 0, or Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0.
Still waiting for Verbruggen to take this free kick, so we'll get an update from West Ham Spurs. Aaron Paul.
Offensively, this is an absolute comedy of errors at both ends. It is West Ham 1, Tottenham 1. Tottenham with a fabulous chance. Matthias Tell able to just thread a gorgeous pass through to Richarlison. He drew the goalkeeper out. Richarlison across the face of goal. Odebear at the back post, couldn't tap it in for a second goal for Spurs. It is West Ham 1, Tottenham 1, 5 to go to the break.
Newcastle lift the ball towards halfway. Brighton, though, pick up possession. They're 10 yards inside the Newcastle half, and they lead by a goal to 0 with 4 minutes plus added time to the break. They've got the ball with Van Hecker now deep in their own half. Slides a ball forward. It's a lovely ball to Welbeck, who holds the ball up, shows too much of it to Cher, who nicks it off him, and now Barnes finds Tonali and now finds Joe Willock, who's got some room ahead of him, and Livramento ahead of him. 3 in the middle waiting for a cross. Livramento goes down under a challenge from Belieber. Referee right on top of it, Craig Pawson, says goal kick.
They break so quickly, Newcastle. Bodies flying forward. Livramento, he gets released on that left-hand side, and Belieber is tracking him all the way there to the byline. Doesn't actually win the ball, doesn't make enough contact on Livramento. I think he's expecting the challenge to come in, and in the end he's not able to cross the ball into the box, and he's looking for the foul. I think Craig Pawson gets that one absolutely spot on. Don't think it was, not enough contact for me.
Goal kick taken by Verbruggen, high over halfway. Stabbed forward, poked over the top towards Adingra. Battle with him and Trippier for the ball, and Trippier comes out on top for Newcastle, and they've got possession midway inside their own half, right hand side, and a ball forward looks for Isak, but is comfortably won by Van Hecker. They do look so much better, Brighton, than they did last week for me defensively, with Van Hecker back in defence and with Belieber back in holding midfield, don't they?
Yeah, I think that has been an issue for them this season. Continuity in the back line. They've had a number of injuries. Obviously Lewis Dunk, the captain's missed the parts of the season. You've got Igor, I think, is back, who's on the bench. He's missed games as well. Obviously Adam Webster's missed games, so you need that continuity in that back line, which they haven't really had, and it has looked much more solid for them in this first half.
Free kick for Brighton. Danny Welbeck went down. They've taken it quickly here, but they're not going to let that carry on. They're going to pull it back because he was in there, Minter, but Craig Pawson wasn't ready. It's right on the lip of the centre circle inside the Newcastle half, this for Brighton, who lead by a goal to 0 2 minutes before the break. Van Hecker strokes it short to Hinchelwood. Now Van Hecker again. He certainly had the most amount of touches, I would have thought, than of any player on the pitch so far, Van Hecker. Into the feet of Hinchelwood. Out on the left-hand side now, Adingra. 2 waiting in the middle for a cross here, if Adingra can find one. Corner of the penalty area. Little back heel. Estupinian with a chance to cross. In it comes. But Pope is tall and claims, because Danny Welbeck was waiting behind him. It's a good job he did.
Yeah, not the best cross in the end. That's probably the first sort we've seen. Estupinian, we know he loves to kind of get forward, has good energy, but hasn't really been able to kind of get into that type of area, and on that occasion he does, but just lacking quality with the cross. And it's been the same for Newcastle, really. We've seen Jacob Murphy, who's got in behind 3 or 4 occasions, but we know he loves to look for Isak. They have a fantastic connection together, but I have to say Brighton done a good job positionally of being in the right place at the right time to block those crosses.
Just watching Fabian Herzl, it's like he's playing at times, isn't it? Like his body position, he's got a sort of, as if you're jockeying a player sort of position.
He should still be playing, he's only 32.
That's true. Yeah, he's crouched.
Yeah, kicks every ball.
Just outside the penalty area. Tonali's caught on the ball there, and he's very lucky that he didn't have it nicked off him by Minter. And Newcastle have got safe possession midway inside their own half, but that was almost Minter in.
Yeah, just wasn't aware of his surroundings there, Tonali, and then I think the crowd actually alerted him in the end, and Minter almost nicking the ball off him on the edge of the 18-yard box.
Here's Livramento. He's picked up a position in sort of number 10 sort of area, the Newcastle fullback, but his ball forward is intercepted by Brighton, and Brighton have got the ball back with Estupinian. Green boots, nice feet, and draws some warm applause with that. Brighton are in possession. Hinchelwood goes down, free kick. Challenge from Guimaraes. Free kick in the centre circle for Brighton and Hove Albion. Brentford leading Manchester United by 2-1, and that game is over on Sports Extra. No assist or goals, by the way, for Brian and Bumo. I know a lot of you have got him in your fantasy teams. Don't forget, we have our very own Fantasy Football Podcast 606, which is a great listen, even if you don't play the game, to be honest, just to hear Chris and Dave and Ali taking the mickey out of one another. West Ham 1-1 with Spurs, and that game is available for commentary via the BBC Sport website and app. And this is 1-0 Brighton, who are going to try and see this out till half-time, you would think, as Belieber goes back to Van Hecke. Nice ball forward, and now here is Minter on the right-hand side, moving forward. Belieber urged to shoot from a very similar position from where he scored in the last knockings of the game last week against West Ham to win it. Estupinian, infield to Belieber again, who's about 40 yards from goal. There were still a few shoots. Van Hecke, lovely ball, first time cross on the volley, cleared away by Newcastle, and here is Bruno Guimaraes, who is fouled, and that it's not even a free kick. He wasn't fouled, my mistake. He must have slipped. He's not happy about it, Bruno Guimaraes, let me tell you. Neither is Eddie Howe. He's complaining with the fourth official, Danny Gabidon.
I think he's left his whistle in the dressing room. Great Pawson. There's been 2 or 3, I think, fouls in that first half, and he's been very reluctant to give them.
That's the half-time whistle, and Brighton lead by 1-0. The goal from Minter. Lovely feet inside the penalty area. We've seen better defending and better closing down and blocking. He unleashed a shot with his left foot. It flicked off the side of Dan Byrne's head and flew out of the reach of Nick Pope and into the corner. And Brighton lead here 1-0. Danny Gabidon, your assessment of the first half?
I think if you look at both teams, I think Newcastle have probably looked the more dangerous of the two teams in this first half in terms of where they've been able to get into Brighton's kind of 18-yard box. It's just been that kind of end product. I don't think quality-wise it's been great from either side. You know, the one bit of quality coming from Brighton with a Minter goal. I think Newcastle started the better of the two teams, but as the half has kind of worn on, I think Brighton have kind of found their feet, got a bit of a footing in the game, and obviously got that fantastic goal through Yakuba Minter. So I think Eddie Howe will be disappointed with the defending for the goal. Had enough bodies there in and around Minter to maybe stop that situation, but they're a little bit too passive with it, and they allow the strike to go away. And obviously a little bit unlucky because it flicks off Dan Burn and flies into that far corner. But I think Eddie Howe will be disappointed with the final third stuff. You know, Jacob Murphy's gotten behind a few occasions, hasn't been able to pick anybody out. Harvey Barnes as well on the left-hand side. So you'll want to tidy things up, I think, in the final third and want a bit more end product, I think, from his team.
Half-time, Brighton 1, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, both. We'll be back at the Amex with John and Danny for second half commentary. Lots of other great live sport going on. Half-time whistles going in the Premier League to the London Stadium. Aaron Paul.
1 Spurs 1, not a classic, but we've had a bit of action in this London derby. Wilson Odobert breaking the deadlock for Spurs. Really poor defending from Mats Kilman, conceding possession just outside the area, under pressure to Matthias Tell, who squared for Odobert to bury past the keeper 1v1. The equaliser was special though. Jared Bowen latching onto a great pass from Aaron Wan-Bissaka, beating the offside trap beautifully and putting the ball through the legs of the on-rushing Vicario. Spurs have gone close to retaking the lead. Tell feeding Richarlison, who played the ball across the face of goal with a tap in prime for Odobert, who could not convert. Half time, 1 apiece.
Half time at Brentford, Sahil Sahi.
Brentford leading by 2-1 against Manchester United. It's been a gripping half of football, Steve. Brentford started quick, Manchester United responded, and they took the lead through Mason Mount in front of a watching Thomas Tuchel, the England manager. And at that point, Manchester United, they looked calm and in control. But 2 Brentford goals in the space of 6 minutes has turned this game upside down. The first has been credited to Luke Shaw as an own goal. Damsgaard with the poked effort, deflected off the chest of Shaw and in. And then the second, Norgard, a pinpoint cross onto the head of Sharda for the second goal. Half-time, Brentford 2, Manchester United 1.
So in that race for 8th place and possible European football in the Premier League, as it stands, Brighton are going into 8th above Bournemouth, Brentford going into 10th. They would be 2 points behind Brighton. Goal in the WSL at Tottenham, Sarah Mulcairns.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, totally against the run of play. It was a penalty awarded after Katerina Maracano was taken down in the area by Ashley Neville. Macario then stepped up to coolly slot the penalty past Lisa Kopp in the Tottenham goal. Heartbreak for these Spurs players who have been on top early in this first half. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1.
Other scores in the Women's Super League. Crystal Palace 0, Leicester 1 is a half-time score. Earlier in the Manchester derby, Manchester United came from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 against City. In doing so, they have secured the 3rd Champions League place from the Women's Super League. Everton won the Merseyside derby, 2-0 winners away from home at Liverpool. The fight to get into the WSL is absolutely fascinating. Birmingham City against London City Lionesses. Winner takes all in the Women's Championship. Emily Herbert.
It's Birmingham City 0, London City 0 as it stands. Promotion is on the line. Birmingham have to get on the score sheet. If they win, they go up. London City will go up with a draw. It's so level. Good win has put the ball in the back of the Birmingham net. Offside flag went up. Birmingham had a chance, cleared on the line. 38 minutes in, goalless.
Let's check back in on the final of the World Snooker Championship. Jamie Broughton.
Well, Xiao Jingtong, who's appearing in the final for the first time, Steve, hasn't shown any sign of nerves so far today, while Mark Williams, the 3-time world champion, hasn't quite settled yet. The Chinese star took the opening 3 frames this afternoon with breaks of 51, 77 and 100, the highlight. Williams, though, has just claimed the final frame before the mid-session interval to reduce the arrears to 3-1. 18 is the target for victory.
Let's check in on today's county cricket action. Kevin Howells.
It's 3rd day of the Men's County Championship and some of the 7 games now coming to an end. At Headingley, Warwickshire set a tricky 185. They've completed a victory there. They've beaten Yorkshire by 5 wickets. At Taunton, Somerset need 321 to beat Essex. They're currently 47 for 2. The story there, though, involves England and a concern over the Essex batter Jordan Cox. He made a century in that second innings, but then left the field with a side injury. He's not come back out onto the field at all. He was named by England in their test squad to face Zimbabwe later this month. Southampton, Hampshire in trouble here. They're at home to Durham. First innings, 264 for 6. They still trail by 247 runs. And in our featured game in the Women's One-Day Cup match here at Trent Bridge, the Blaze chasing 190 to beat the group leaders Hampshire, currently 47 for 3 in the 14th over. England's Tammy Beaumont's on 21 not out at the moment. A couple of wickets for the England bowler Lauren Bell, and Sophia Dunkley has scored a century for Surrey at Beckenham. Total versus Warwickshire, 313 for 7.
The other full-time football score in the Scottish Premiership in the Old Firm, Rangers 1, Celtic 1. We will get to Miami shortly ahead of the Grand Prix. There's commentary later of that on 5 Sports Extra. We'll do a bit more rugby league as well from Magic Weekend, and we'll make our first trip of the afternoon to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea versus Liverpool in full on Premier League Sunday at 4:30. Let's get the latest news on 5 Live. Here's Lisa McCormick.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. Counter-terror police have arrested 8 people in 2 separate operations across England. 5 men are in custody suspected of plotting a terror attack, and separately 3 other Iranian men have been detained under national security legislation. Our correspondent is Simon Jones.
The police say news of these arrests, 8 in total, relating to these 2 incidents, these 2 investigations, will be of concern to the public, but they're advising the public to remain vigilant, to report anything suspicious.
The chair of Reform UK says it could take the government to court to stop migrants being housed in areas where it now controls a local council. Zia Youssef says his party has pledged to resist housing asylum seekers in reform-controlled areas. The party took control of 10 local authorities in Thursday's local elections. 14 children remain in custody after the death of a boy in a fire in an industrial estate in Gateshead. 11 boys and 3 girls between 11 and 14 have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. The Israeli military is investigating why its sophisticated air defence systems failed to intercept a Houthi missile fired from Yemen which hit Ben Gurion Airport. 6 people suffered minor injuries. The airport's now fully operational, but some major airlines have temporarily cancelled flights. And Uber says its drivers will accept cash payments in almost all UK cities. Its new policy comes after a committee of MPs warned that shops and services might be forced to accept cash in future to protect those who rely on it.
The Champions League on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Dembele with a shot, it's in! PSG have an early lead!
On Wednesday at 8, PSG versus Arsenal.
The margins are so small, we have to go to Paris and win the game.
And on Thursday at 8,
the second leg of the Europa League semi-finals on 5 Live. Tottenham travel to Norway to take on Bodo Glimt.
And on 5 Sports Extra, Manchester United host Athletic Club.
Listen live on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Brighton leading Newcastle by 1-0 at the Amex. Second half commentary on the way here on 5 Live. Brentford 2, Manchester United 1. You'll get the second half of that on 5 Sports Extra. West Ham and Tottenham level at 1 apiece. That one available on the BBC Sport website and app. We'll take you to Stamford Bridge shortly. Chelsea-Liverpool in full on 5 Live at 4:30. The biggest race of the day at Newmarket. Second classic of the flat racing season. The 1,000 Guineas on the way at 3:35. John Hunt will be watching.
And it's always great in sports, Steve, when the main protagonists boast unbeaten records. That's what we've got this afternoon in the Guineas. Desert Flower 4 from 4 last year up against Lake Victoria, unbeaten in 5 starts from Aidan O'Brien's powerful stable. They're the 2 main ones in the Guineas. News from earlier on today as well, Steve. Cinderella's Dream, winner of the Dahlia Stakes by 4 lengths. She's going to have the Breeders' Cup in November in Del Mar in America as her main target of the season, whilst Falakea ran out a very easy winner of the Pretty Polly Stakes. Her trainer Owen Burrows has just exercised some caution about whether or not she'll run in the Oaks or not. They doubt whether she'll stay the 1.5 miles, so they may keep her to 1.25 miles, and the French Oaks as an alternative.
Thank you very much, John. Let's take you back to St James's Park. Full time in the first of 3 games on Magic Weekend. Matt Newsom.
Yeah, Huddersfield Giants at the 10th attempt have won their first game of the Super League season. It was a narrow win over this Hull FC side that looked like they're back on the horse as a group. Jake Gagai and Leroy Cudjoe scoring the tries. Hull had Lewis Martin and Herman Esse over in reply, but Liam Knight sending off at the back end of the first half in the end proved key, as did George Flanagan's kicking. So Huddersfield off the mark. They're the best recorded team in the Magic Weekend's history, and of course Wigan Warrington is up next at 3:15.
Thank you very much, Matt. The Miami Grand Prix 5 Live tonight. Commentary of the race from 9 o'clock, build up from 8. Commentator Harry Benjamin is there, and Harry, you'll be commentating on Max Verstappen somehow, some way putting it on pole again.
Always, never rule him out. What do we say? Week in, week out. He's done it again. He put the lap in and got pole position. He'll have Lando Norris alongside him. Norris riding high, returning to the scene of his first Grand Prix victory 1 year on. But of course, he also took the win yesterday in the chaotic sprint race. There is a bit of rain around today as well, which may cause an impact. And Kimi Antonelli too, the 18-year-old driver for Mercedes, who put it on sprint pole yesterday. Well, he starts from 3rd ahead of championship leader Oscar Piastri. So it sets us up really nicely for a good Grand Prix.
McLaren have got the race pace. Red Bull are finding the 1 lap pace. Is that what's going to keep us really interested this season? The fact that it is still moving around despite McLaren looking so strong on paper?
I think so. I mean, look, just over 0.5 of a second separated Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in qualifying. So 1 lap pace, there's just such fine margins. I think what Max Verstappen and Red Bull might be a little bit concerned about today is we still obviously have the high temperatures here, which can affect how you keep your tyres in shape. And the Red Bull, while it's not drastically bad on its tyres, the McLaren is absolutely sublime. So that's what's going to give Norris and the likes of Oscar Piastri the advantage here. Max Verstappen also on his own up front. His teammates all the way back in 10th. The two McLarens have the advantage of being able to work together against Verstappen. And if you look back at Japan, where he was ahead, you couldn't overtake. Well, here you can overtake a bit more. So there are opportunities to lie ahead for the two McLaren drivers against Red Bull.
Thank you very much. So Harry, Jenny Gow, Andrew Benson and Damon Hill, your team on 5 Live. Build up from 8. The race starts at 9. Let's go to Stamford Bridge next. Commentary at 4:30 in the Premier League. Chelsea looking to continue their chase for Champions League football against Liverpool, the champions. And Ali Bruce Ball, if I was, chipping into the old glossary on the commentator's view, after the Lord Mayor's show.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 4-game victory lap for Liverpool now, isn't it? So starting today, 15 points ahead of Arsenal. The Liverpool fans will definitely enjoy their afternoon here. They've got a very good record in recent times at this stadium. It remains to be seen, doesn't it, Steve, in terms of team selection and level of performance, what we're going to see from Liverpool. But make no mistake, massive game for Chelsea. Starting the day in 5th, Newcastle behind at Brighton at half-time. Level on points with Nottingham Forest, who play tomorrow. Chelsea in the run-in. Go to Newcastle and go to Nottingham Forest. The motivation should be all theirs today, so we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Pat Nevins alongside Ali for commentary. Afternoon, Pat.
Good afternoon.
It is a funny thing, motivation, isn't it? Because it's not a character flaw. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. To have your motivation just dip slightly when you've just won the Premier League.
Well, it's kind of normal. I mean, people always say, you lift yourself for the big games. Yeah, well, you try to. Yeah, but you try and keep to that level all the time. Nobody actually can. It's weird to think of it. But I still don't think you're going to, cliche alert here, see a phone-in from Liverpool stroke Downing tools stroke a day with flip-flops instead of football boots. I think they're going to go for it as much as they possibly can. We will see a lot from the team that Arne Slot picks and puts out here. But I think the big thing that Liverpool have got to go for, we know what Chelsea have got to go for, it's Champions League football. But Liverpool, they have got 96 points they can possibly reach. They'd love to get to that to show that this is one of the great league campaigns. So they'll try to win for that as much as anything else.
Thank you very much, you two, Pat Nevin and Ali Bruce Ball inside Stamford Bridge. We will be there. We'll all be together on 5 Live at 4:30 for full commentary of that. Right now, you've got a great choice of listening. So Brentford 2, Manchester United 1, second half about to get underway. Commentary right now on 5 Sports Extra. West Ham and Tottenham level at 1 apiece. That is about to get back underway. I can see the players in the tunnel there at the London Stadium. BBC Sport website and app for that. Here on 5 Live, ready to go at the Amex. Brighton leading Newcastle by 1-0. Danny Gabidon is with John Akers.
Thank you very much, Steve. The Newcastle players are out for the second half, much like on a Sunday league when let's send them out early. That's exactly what Eddie Howe has done at the start of this second half, with Brighton leading by 1-0. And yesterday I was enjoying a cold pint of something on the beach in Devon, and today myself and Danny Gabidon we've just put our gloves on.
You told me you had shorts and t-shirt on yesterday.
I did.
Now you've got a big coat on, gloves, everything.
That's the British weather. British weather for you, Danny, isn't it? It is chilly here. Lots of people have made wardrobe errors who are here at the moment. There's so many shorts and t-shirts, and then you've also got people who've done their homework and have got big puffer jackets on as Brighton make their way out for the second half here, leading by that goal from Minter. And wouldn't you just know it? I mean, it's just typical, isn't it? Eddie Howe didn't want to let him go, and he's just put Brighton 1-0 up.
Yeah, pops up with a goal and showed good energy in the first half. You know, they were constantly looking to try and get him in down his right-hand side. Had to do his defensive work as well at times when Newcastle were breaking forward. And yeah, the one bit of quality shown in that first half was from him, as you said. Eddie Howe was reluctant to kind of let him go. It was out of his hands, really, letting him leave the football club, and it's typical, really, that he pops up with the goal. But do you feel that he might need another one back in this second half, because Newcastle will come out and obviously look to get back into this one?
We are underway for the second half. Brighton take the kick-off, and they have possession inside the Newcastle half as Stupinian and Baliba just get in each other's way there, and Baliba off balance manages to force the ball back to Verbruggen in goal, and they're applying the press with Barnes and Guimaraes as the ball's played forward. Straight ball through the middle, bounces twice and into the arms of Nick Pope, who bowls it out left hand side, finds Livramento, who in turn finds Barnes. Barnes running with the ball to the byline. Good run this, cuts it back. Willett was there but cleared away, and Newcastle fans stand and roar their team on as they win a throw-in on the left hand side, Newcastle. But a good position early in this second half. 1-0 Brighton lead, Newcastle in possession back at the halfway line with Fabian Schär. Now Livramento, centre field, Tonali into the feet of Livramento again. Now Barnes on the left, again a good position to cross, chops it onto his right foot, deep, in comes the cross. Estepinian lets it go, and it's through for a goal kick for Brighton at the start of this second half. And let's go for an update. Spurs-Chelsea with Sarah Mulkerrins.
Half-time, Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. The champions are ahead thanks to a Caterina Macario penalty. She was brought down as she danced into the area, then she coolly converted from the spot. That was against the run of play. Spurs have had the better of the chances. They went close late on. Charlotte Grant in on goal. Good low save from Hannah Hampton. Spurs 0, Chelsea 1.
And that game is live on BBC Two right now, and this is Brighton in possession with Belieber. Players around him though. Newcastle definitely looking like they're playing a little bit higher up and applying the press onto Brighton, trying to force the issue a bit more at the start of this second half. They've definitely come out looking a little bit different, Danny.
Yeah, been a good start from Newcastle, but again, kind of getting into that final third, and it's just that final pass, final kind of cross, which they haven't really been able to pick anybody out in that kind of 18-yard box. Brighton have done a good job. Van Hecker and Dunk have been in the right place at the right time. I just saw a picture of Eddie Howe with his head in his hands. He looks a little bit frustrated. He knows his team ain't playing badly, getting into good areas. It's just that end product.
Here come Brighton through the middle. Hinchelwood challenged, picked up by Schär. Nice feet from him, and finds the feet of Murphy, who gets a late challenge, but Brighton have won possession. Left hand side, it's Adingra to the corner of the penalty area. A couple of little step overs. People just making their way back to their seats at the start of this second half around us. We're just behind the dugouts. Hinchelwood, Belieber, urged to shoot after that goal last week again. Now here's Adingra, moving the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. Estepinian, left-footed cross, deep. Livramento should deal with it for Newcastle. Side foots it clear on the volley. Belieber, 40 yards from goal. Van Hecker. And now Dunk, who's moved forward. Left-hand side. Dunk on a bit of a run, and then kind of gets to nosebleed territory and checks and goes backwards to Van Hecker. Lip of the centre circle inside the Newcastle half. Brighton fans now, it's their turn to get behind their team, and they're forced all the way back with Dunk towards the halfway line. And we'll go for a quick update of Birmingham versus London City with Emily Herbert.
Goalless at the break, and London City are 45 minutes away from heading up to the WSL as it stands. Promotion is on the line. Birmingham need a win to be promoted. London City only need a draw. Very end-to-end. London City with the momentum towards the latter end of the first half. Another headed goal line clearance, but the Blues have had their chances to go ahead. Half-time, 0-0.
Brighton in possession, leading by a goal to 0. Nice little drop of the shoulder that from Belieber, and forward goes Belieber. This is some run from him, still going into the penalty area, dishes the ball out to the right, in comes a low cross. Good challenge from Trippier just when it was needed in front of Belieber, and Byrne lets it go through to Pope. Good chance that, good defending too.
Yeah, Kieran Trippier, brilliant play as that ball's whipped in, had to get there, had to make the challenge. Initially though, Belieber, brilliant driving run, was past Tonali, and I thought he might just shoot on his weaker right foot, but elects to kind of play it wide, and it's Mintz with that dangerous delivery into that 6-yard box, well defended by Trippier.
Trippier rolls the ball down the line, looking for Guimaraes, and it's intercepted by Estepinian, and then Guimaraes just puts his arms out to the side as if to say that wasn't the best ball. Willock's done really well to win the ball back for Newcastle though. Now Byrne on halfway plants a ball forward, looks for Willock, doesn't find him. Challenge goes in near the halfway line on a Newcastle player. It's going to free a free kick this for Newcastle. Tonali is rolling around, just trying to see who the challenge was by. We're a very low commentary position here.
Weaver with a challenge.
Is it Weaver?
Yeah. has put 2 or 3 of them in so far in this game. He has looked to be aggressive every opportunity, and he's been on the receiving end of a couple. Livramento in the first half, this one's on Tonali, and
wins the ball, doesn't he?
A little bit of the ball, and the follow through just catches him with the studs there.
Free kick for you, that?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get an update from one of our other 2 o'clock games. You've got a choice of listening this afternoon. We've got West Ham and Spurs on the BBC Sport website, and on Sports Extra it's Brentford versus Manchester United. Sahel Sahi.
And Brentford are leading Manchester United by 2-1. We've played 6 minutes of the second half. Double substitution at half-time by the Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim. Amad Diallo and Lenny Yoro on for Luke Shaw, the captain, and Patrick Dorgu. Mason Mount with 2 efforts just moments ago from the edge of the penalty area. First time Manchester United have had a shot on target since they opened the scoring in the 14th minute. But they're trailing here in West London against Brentford by 2-1.
Yeah, Luke Shaw had scored an own goal there for Brentford, so he's gone off at half-time. Nothing for Mbumo in that game if you're playing FPL, but Jared Bowen, who a lot of people brought in this week, has scored for West Ham United, an equaliser against Spurs. And there's been some treatment there for Tonali, but he's okay, and he's back up on his feet. We're going to see a change soon for Brighton, I think, though. Tariq Lamptey is stripped off and ready to go. Meanwhile, here come Newcastle with a crossfield ball from Tonali, nodded back into the penalty area. Oh, it's almost gathered by Guimaraes, but good defending again by Brighton, and now they might break over the halfway line. Away they go with Minter. Minter, good feet, he's come in field, he tries to release Welbeck, but it's intercepted. Now Newcastle might break up the other end. Here's Willock, left hand side, moves midway inside the Brighton half, goes down the outside. Willock, good pace, really good run this from Willock, but he's overhit it. He's just let his touch get away from him, and it's through for a goal kick for Brighton, who lead by 1-0. 7 minutes of the second half gone. Let's get an update from West Ham Spurs, Aaron Paul.
West Ham 1, Spurs 1. Pretty tame start to this second half. Matthias Teller's forced a regulation save out of Guillermo Vicario, but it's now West Ham putting all the pressure on Tottenham. West Ham 1, Tottenham 1, 53 gone.
Goal kick for Brighton, and we're going to see this change then, and it is going to be Weaver who's coming off, and Tariq Lamptey is going to replace him. Thoughts there? It's the yellow card, I presume.
Yeah, I think the yellow card, and he's a bit of an unnatural position for him as well. Weaver's, he's more of a central midfielder playing right back, and he has been targeted on a couple of occasions. Harvey Barnes has kind of gone past him a couple of times using his pace. There you just saw Willock kind of drift past him, and I think just Fabian Herzl are just seeing that situation with him being on a yellow card. Probably a wise move to kind of bring him off and bring Lamptey on. He's got a bit more pace, and obviously a much more of a natural position for him playing there.
Yeah, we forgot the assist for the first goal for Minter in this game. Estupinian gets a touch. Hinchelwood in central midfield, crowded out of it. Newcastle attacking midway inside the Brighton half, picked up by Guimaraes, who stands with the ball at his feet looking for options, finds Livramento on the left. Now Willock just inside the penalty area left hand side, works it square. Newcastle looking more and more threatening. Jacob Murphy picks it up. Wow, that was high and over the crossbar, right footed. I don't know how he's got it that high. He didn't look to be leaning back that much. He's just got right underneath it, Jacob Murphy. That's it. That's extraordinarily high over the crossbar.
Yeah, got that one all wrong. Really did, but worth taking the strike on. It did open up for him as they moved the ball from left to right, but yeah, not the best execution on the strike, but that just coming off the back of Brighton, giving the ball away in that midfield area. Hinchelwood can't afford to do that, because he'll pour those numbers forward. Newcastle very dangerous on the counter-attack.
Livramento gets the ball to Barnes, who tries to get it to Willock, but it's cleared away, out of play. Throw in for Newcastle, roared on by the tsunami behind the goal. We're going to see Anthony Gordon introduced very soon. He is shirtless at present, just putting his shirt on now, just getting some instructions. Meanwhile, Newcastle have a free kick as Alexander Isak goes down on the far side. It's midway inside the Brighton half, just near the left-hand touchline, and this will be an opportunity to bring on Gordon, and we'll wait and see who it's for, and it is for Jacob Murphy. So Jacob Murphy coming off, and Gordon coming on. So Barnes is in Gordon's kind of natural position. Whether he'll play on the right, Barnes switches.
Yeah, you think Barnes will switch.
Barnes will
Gordon,
switch.
probably to that left-hand side. Harvey Barnes to the right. Eddie Howe spoke about Anthony Gordon having a full week's training. It's just about getting him kind of back up to speed and back to the levels we know he can play at. So what a great substitute to be able to bring on.
Free kick then for Newcastle, trailing by a goal to 0, 5 Live. In it comes, right-footed into the penalty area, looking for Byrne, headed away by Brighton, and then cleared away further. Goal kick. Sorry, throw in for Newcastle, far side. They've got the ball in deep possession with Cher 5 yards inside his own half, centre field. Trippier. A race for European football. Brighton at the moment leading by a goal to 0, and they're in 8th as it stands. Here's Gordon with a first touch and a run into the penalty area, goes down. Referee points to the spot penalty. What an introduction from Anthony Gordon. Picks up the ball, runs into the box, goes down. Referee Craig Pawson right there and points to the spot.
I'll need to see this one again, John, just to see how much contact there was, but no hesitation from referee Craig Pawson. Is it outside of the box? There's definite contact on Gordon as he cuts inside, but the question is the contact? Looks to me like it might just be outside the 18-yard box.
I don't think this is going to be a penalty when they review it. I think the touch is outside the box and he falls inside the penalty area. Anthony Gordon, this could be, and probably is going to be, a let-off for Brighton. Craig Pawson's just having a chat now with the video assistant referee. You wait and see the first contact, and it's Tariq Lamptey who's just come on.
Yeah. What is he doing there though, John? What is he doing there, Lamptey?
He's just hanging out his left leg.
Poor defending.
After he's been skinned, and he's going to get lucky because the contact is quite clearly outside the penalty area. Still we wait for the VAR check to complete. I don't know what's taking this amount of time.
Well, I think initially they're checking for the offside on that long ball from Shah to Gordon. That's definitely onside. Then I think they were looking for the control to see if he handballed it, and then eventually they're going to get to the penalty incident, but did look like he was outside of the box. But Lamptey there, you just can't make a challenge in that situation. You just got to jockey and try and make it difficult, and he cuts inside him and just dangles that left leg out. But I think he's probably going to just about get away with this one.
Yeah, Craig Pawson has pointed to the free kick. Doesn't need to go and check the screen. It was really clear that the contact was outside the penalty area. So it's left-hand side this. Obviously it's a foot outside the Brighton penalty area, left-hand side.
Well, the ball from Fabian Schär is magnificent. It's a long raking crossfield ball from right to left, right onto the chest of Anthony Gordon, and it just gets him into that quick 1v1 situation with Lamptey. He's backing off, and he just dangles out that left leg, and he's a lucky boy, but still a dangerous situation here for Brighton to have to defend.
Eddie Hall puffs out his cheeks, puts his hands in his pockets to keep them warm. He's thought his team had a penalty for a moment, but they do have a free kick in a dangerous position. It's a weird one. It's maybe the wrong angle to shoot from unless you try and go through a crowd of bodies, and it's almost too close to cross it.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation. Do you cross, do you shoot?
Tonali's going to decide. Orange boots, up he steps, does shoot, hits a ricochet, hits a group of players, ricochets to Cher, and it's out for a corner to Newcastle on the far side. Fell quite nicely for Cher there in the end, and again Brighton defend well.
Yeah, it was Lamptey, I think, who got an important block in initially on the Tonali shot. I think it was, he looked to whip it into that near post area.
Corner from the left-hand side, in swinger, headed away at the near post by Brighton. Newcastle have the ball back with Gordon and now Livramento. Midway inside the Brighton half, Tonali. Now Gordon again. Still a line of players, including Dan Burn forward, and they're just going to hoist it towards Burn. Wins a flick on towards Isak, and I think the referee's given a free kick there against Dan Burn, but he's allowed play to go on, and the ball's bowled out underarm to Lamptey, right-hand side for Brighton, who plays the ball forward, looking for the run of Minter. but it's through to Pope, and Newcastle have possession back. Good press, Welbeck, chance here for Brighton potentially. O'Reilly's challenge, and the ball goes out for a corner on the far side, and we will nip for team news. Chelsea versus Liverpool. Alistair Bruce Ball.
Chelsea have the same lineup that started in the Premier League win against Everton last weekend. 6 changes for the newly crowned champions though. Quansah in for Konate, Tsimikas in for Robertson at left back, Endo, Jones and Elliott come into the midfield for Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai, and Jota up front in place of Luis Diaz.
That's our 4:30. Pat Nevin and Alistair Bruce Ball, and Brighton have a corner on the far side. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. 61 minutes of the game gone. 5 Live. Plenty of movement in the penalty area in blue and white. In it comes, high, swirling ball, spinning. A little flicked header won by Newcastle. Only as far as the goal scorer Minter goes down on the edge of the penalty area. He's not going to get that. It's Bruno Guimaraes. And Guimaraes just gets it all wrong. I think he got injured in that challenge there, Guimaraes. He's just grimacing. And that might be one of the reasons why the ball was misplaced with his pass, and it's out of play for a Brighton throw.
Yeah, not really like him. We haven't really seen too much of him in this game. Certainly on the ball, hasn't been as prominent as we normally see with his creativity. Has put in a few kind of heavy challenges, but I haven't really seen him getting on the ball, controlling the game.
Pope's got possession. Got the ball in his hands for Newcastle and rolls it to Dan Burn. Short ball to Livramento, who runs infield. It's to check and go back to Cher, and then Trippier, edge of the D. Burn, left foot down the line, looking for the feet of Isak, who's been fairly anonymous so far in this game. And now Brighton have won possession back. Welbeck, good interception by Trippier. Ball was just overhit, looking for a dinger on the left-hand side. Here's Lamptey, he's got pace to Burn, down the right, puts a low cross in, doesn't find a blue and white striped shirt, and now here is Willock, who has got some space, gets the ball out on the left-hand side, and finds Isak, cuts it on his right foot here, Alexander Isak, right-footed, goes to Barnes, Barnes in the penalty area, he's got chance to shoot here, left-footed, and it's saved by Verbruggen, above his head, just didn't quite find the corner there, Harvey Barnes, and Brighton have the ball back.
The game just getting really stretched now, and just Brighton, who initially had the ball and were attacking, give the ball away and they get stretched and they get caught with bodies up the field. Newcastle straight back the other way. Ball just gets played squared by Isak into Barnes, cuts inside on that right foot. Similar position to when Minter scored, just maybe a yard or two more out. Decent strike on goal, but another comfortable save for Bruggen.
Brighton have had one effort on goal in the game, and they scored with it. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. 63 minutes gone. Newcastle haven't done an awful lot of attacking in terms of shots either. They've had 2 shots, both of them on target, both sides saved by Verbruggen, and they've had that effort over the crossbar as well.
Well, I think Fabian Herzl might call that efficient, John.
Yeah.
Quite possibly, but haven't done too much in the attacking sense, Brighton, but find themselves in front. Newcastle pushing now though to get back into the game. Obviously they are making a couple of changes. Anthony Gordon coming on.
Guimaraes goes down and wins a free kick for Newcastle. We'll wait to see them take this free kick. Meanwhile, we'll go to Birmingham versus London City in the Championship with Emily Herbert.
London City ahead with a wonder strike to break the deadlock. 2 minutes inside this second half. Their top goal scorer, Izzy Goodwin, from halfway inside their attacking half, unleashes a rocket, and now they have a cushion to promotion. Birmingham 0, London City 1.
Trippier's going to take this free kick, just adjusts his socks, asks Anthony Gordon to come over, wants a word with him. It's midway inside the Brighton half, and it's about 10 yards in from the right-hand touchline. So it's a good position, this, to deliver a cross. And Dan Burn's gone forward to the far post. Cher's up there as well. 5 in the middle. Touches it to Gordon. Gordon right foot cross over everyone. Dan Burn keeps it in by the corner flag on the far side. He's showing some twinkling, sparkling feet there, Dan Burn, and puts in a cross right-footed, which is cleared away at the near post. Newcastle have got possession near halfway with Trippier And now Tonali, who just goes round one challenge beautifully and then finds Cher on the right. And now Barnes, chance to cross, in it comes. Good header clear by Van Hecker. Comes back out to Barnes again. Barnes on his left foot. He's switched from left to right. Doesn't look quite as comfortable on the right hand side, coming inside on his left. Now Tonali, chance to cross, 4 in the middle. Good defending again by Brighton. The Stupinian comes off his legs. Throw in for Newcastle. Trippier, Tonali, Guimaraes. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. 66 minutes of the game gone. Guimaraes goes to ground, wants a free kick. Referee says play on, Craig Pawson. Brighton have snapped in with a couple of challenges there that could well have been free kicks, and that third one is a free kick. It's Minter with the foul on Gordon, and they've taken it quickly, Newcastle. Trying to find a way through. Brighton have been stubborn, look more solid than in recent matches. That's a poor ball forward. Doesn't find Barnes. Brighton clear. Now they've given the ball away. And here's Willock, lovely touch. Gordon's got some space, edge of the penalty area. Ball won't sit down for him. Gordon, edge of the penalty area. Gets it to Barnes. Barnes with some space. Little dink cross, takes a deflection, headed away by Brighton. They are getting time and space on the ball now, Newcastle. Brighton have worked very, very hard. Maybe a few tired legs. Here comes Barnes to the byline. Gets a cross in, back heel from Isak. Takes a deflection and threw into the arms of Verbruggen.
Yeah, really good spell of pressure from Newcastle. Keeping possession. Brighton really struggling to get out. Fabian Hurst looks like he's going to make another change. Looks like Ayari's going to come on, but I have to say Brighton have defended their 18-yard box ever so well. They really have. They haven't created too many chances. They've got their nose in front, but they have defended that 18-yard box really, really well. Any crosses that have come in there, more often than not, there's been a Brighton player there first. They've done a good job of kind of managing Dan Burn as well so far from the set pieces, but they're going to have to keep up this level of concentration with their defending, because Newcastle is starting to turn the heat up on them now, applying more and more pressure.
Ayari and Veltman are coming on for Brighton. Hinchelwood is one of those making way. He's coming off midway inside the half. Brighton leading by a goal to 0. Only 20 years of age, Jack Hinchelwood. He just looks so comfortable out there, plays multiple positions. He doesn't look very happy coming off, I've got to say. And Adingra also making way, Brighton's number 11. Joel Veltman replaces him. So a double change then for Brighton, leading by a goal to 0. And above Bournemouth into 8th, which could mean European football for them next season, depending on how things go between now and the end of the season and the permutations.
It just looks like Veltman's going to go into that right back position, and he's going to play a little bit more advanced on that right hand side.
Brentford 2, Manchester United 1. That game's on Sports Extra. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0 here, and West Ham 1, Tottenham 1 is a latest score in the London Derby in the Premier League as well, and that game is on the BBC Sport website and app right now. Choice of listening. This afternoon on 5 Live, more games from the Premier League than anyone else, and we've got Chelsea-Liverpool with Pat Nevin and Alistair Bruce Ball still to come. 4:30 kickoff as a throw-in is awarded in Newcastle's favour on the right-hand side. Newcastle win today, they go above Manchester City into 3rd. They've never won in the Premier League here. 4 draws, 3 defeats. If they are to get a draw, it will be their first in 19 matches, Newcastle. Here is Guimaraes, some space, 25 yards from goal. Tries to play in Willock, who goes down. Late challenge, decision to make for Craig Pawson. What does he do? He does give a penalty, another one, and this one is definitely inside the area. They'll check it for VAR, but Willock was quick, got there first, and if there was contact, this will be a penalty. Danny Gabidon, you're watching the replay.
Yeah, well, I think this one is. Van Heck goes, wow, I don't, looking at the replay, ball gets played in behind and he's in a race with Willock. Willock gets there first, touches it away from him, challenge comes in, but
the VAR will check it because it's almost like he's gone down before, he started to go down before there was any contact, and it's his acting going to ground that made the contact.
I'm not sure there's a lot of contact there, to be honest with you. It was almost like he half pulls out of it.
Meanwhile, we've got a goal at Brentford. Let's go there, Sahel Sahi.
And it's a third for Brentford. They're leading Manchester United by 3-1. A second for Kevin Schade. A cross from the right-hand side and a diving header from Schade. Brentford 3, Manchester United 1.
Thank you very much, Sahel. 3-1 Brentford lead. They're still checking this penalty here. This is a big moment in Newcastle's season. And he's going to go to the monitor here, Craig Pawson. And we know what this normally means.
Well, it took a long time to kind of give the initial I don't think he was sure himself, Craig Pawson. He took maybe 5 seconds and then actually gave the penalty. And
from one angle and in full speed, it looks a stick-on penalty.
Yeah,
at full speed. But if you look, Van Hecke's foot stops short.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if his knee actually catches Willock there. But I'm looking at the rest position. Very difficult for him to see fully from where he was. He's got bodies in the way of him.
He's going down Willock before either foot or knee connects with him.
He is looking for it. His legs he touches it and his legs just kind of go from underneath him. I'm not sure this one will get given either, John. I'm just looking, is there contact made with that right knee of Van Heck, but he's already going over. Looking for it.
If there is contact there with the right knee, I don't think it's what's caused him to go over.
Definitely not.
And he's going to book him.
Booking Willock.
So a booking for Joe Willock for simulation. And you've got to say that's right.
That's correct. That's correct. I don't think he was quite sure with the initial penalty shot, but he gave it. Obviously knew that would get looked at with VAR, and he could probably change his mind. And
I tell you what, that's in the Football League with no VAR. That's getting given. It's getting given every day of the week. Look like a penalty at full speed. Even when you see it full speed on the replay, it looks like a penalty.
Glad to see him getting booked though as well. You see so many players do that these days, where they look for the penalty. You know, their legs kind of go from underneath them. They wait for that contact. Even if it doesn't come, they're already going over.
Nick Pope's gone down here. He's sitting outside his penalty area. It's a problem with his left knee. So things are not going for Newcastle here. It's fair to say. As Kieran Trippier goes over and has a word with Nick Pope and a chat with him, I think we're going to see Dubravka here in all likelihood, because there's no need for Pope to go down and waste any time. It's their time they're wasting at 0-0 down. 17 minutes of the game gone. And we're going to see Callum Wilson come on for Newcastle as well. Meanwhile, let's get an update from West Ham Spurs with Aaron Paul.
West Ham 1, Tottenham 1. This London derby very, very tame indeed. We've seen a half chance on the hammers. Mohamed Kudus with a gorgeous crossfield ball all the way over to Jared Bowen. Just a little flick to control it, and he swung a volley towards goal. It looked from this angle like it would narrowly miss the net. No, it was miles wide. West Ham 1, Tottenham 1.
Thanks, Aaron. Nick Pope still getting treatment here. We've got another goal at Brentford. Let's go there and Sahel.
It's a fourth for Brentford, John. Brentford 4, Manchester United 1. It's a romp now. They worked it down the right-hand side, slid it in, and Johan Wissa was there for his 18th of the season. A fourth successive goal in 4 successive Premier League games. Brentford 4, Manchester United 1.
And with Nick Pope still getting treatment here at the Amex, we'll go to the Magic Weekend in Super League. Huddersfield Hull, Matt Newsom.
Yeah, that one is finished now.
Sorry, Wigan Warrington.
That's okay. Wigan 6, Warrington 0. Jay Field bursting onto a pass, and as he does so often, dummies and scorches his way into score. Wigan 6, Warrington 0.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Huddersfield Hull a little bit earlier on finished. Wigan Warrington in progress, and we will keep you up to date with that. He's earning his money today, Matt Newsom, isn't he? Covering 2 games back to back. Here we've got just over 15 minutes left, and it's Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. Newcastle have now been awarded 2 penalties by Craig Pawson, and neither of them have been penalties.
Well, I don't think either of them work. You know, that's where VAR works really well, I think, in that kind of situation where, you know, you're looking at the referee, he's a bit kind of obstructed, can't really see the incident fully, he's not quite sure, I don't think, but gives the penalty, and then obviously VAR kind of tied it up. He goes over to the monitor, and we get the right decision in the end.
I tell you what, Newcastle's bench, as the ball goes out for a Brighton throw, won't be thanking Nick Pope there. They've got momentum. He's obviously got a problem, but he stayed on the pitch. You'd think it's got to be a big problem for you to go down with your team 1-0 down with 15 minutes left when they've got momentum.
Yeah, interesting.
And he stayed on. I just presumed he'd come off. You go down as a goalkeeper like that off the ball.
Yeah, you don't see goalkeepers do that too often in stage. Or normally it's when you're winning and you're looking to waste a little bit of time, but seems to be okay to continue. We will see.
He's walking a little gingerly, isn't he? Problem with his left knee potentially. Throw in for Newcastle. Halfway line. Fabian Hürzeler, the Brighton manager, still kicking every ball, still bouncing around on the edge of his technical area and on the edge of the pitch. He thought that throw-in was taken from the wrong place. Newcastle have possession with 14 minutes to go, with Pope and Cher and now Byrne left-footed. High ball for Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson fouls Van Hecker, and it's going to be a free kick for Brighton, with Brighton leading by 1-0. Yeah, it was Joe Willock who came off for Callum Wilson. So they've got two up front in Isak and Wilson now, and then Gordon on the left and Barnes on the right.
Well, they have been turning the screw, Newcastle, starting to crank that pressure up. Eddie Howe going to a good old-fashioned kind of 4-4-2 formation now, and really interested to see if Brighton can see this one out, because I just feel that they're going to need another goal. Back in the past, you look at previous managers, Brighton, the way they used to defend was by starving the opposition of the ball. Slightly different now under Fabian Hürzeler, where they're quite happy to suffer a little bit more, but up until this point they have looked fairly solid, particularly the two centre-backs, but Newcastle now just starting to apply the pressure.
That stoppage, though, hasn't done Newcastle any favours.
No.
Brighton are in possession and they whip the ball out to the left-hand side. He's got pace to burn here. Minter, but Kieran Trippier does really well, slides the ball out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Brighton on the left-hand side. But let's go racing. It's the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket. John Hunt.
And the field of 10 have split into two groups early on. 7 of them on the far side, taken along by Desert Flower. Interestingly enough, Lake Victoria elected to go and follow that group as well, leaving just 3 up the stand side rail. That's Remart in company there with Red Letter, who's very much to the fore, and Flights in behind them as well. Meanwhile, Holly Doyle on duty first, just making ground over on the far side of the track, but ridden to try and challenge. Desert Flower, the overall leader then, as they come down to the final 2 furlongs. The 1,000 guineas live on 5 Live, and Desert Flower now being pressed by El Wateen, who's trying to make progress now in behind them. Then comes Lake Victoria under a little bit of pressure. Chantilly Lace and Simmering are the next ones. Meanwhile, down the near side, Flights come through and hit the front and might be the overall leader. Flight together with Desert Flower, these two go on. Also staying on once again is Red Letter. Desert Flower knuckling down though, and Desert Flower's going to win the guineas. What a weekend for Godolphin. Desert Flower beats Flight, and it was Simmering up for 3rd place as Lake Victoria faded out of the money. So Godolphin have won the lot. The Oaks and the Derby in America, and the 1,000 and 2,000 guineas here at Newmarket. Desert Flower's the best of the rest.
The best in the business, John Hunt, thank you. Here Brighton going forward, shouts for a penalty in the penalty area there. Players going down all over the place. Craig Pawson says goal kick. I'm not sure about this one. He doesn't give a 3rd penalty. He's probably nervous about giving one out there at the moment, with the first 2 having been overturned. Brighton leading 1-0. Minter goes into the penalty area. It's a good run, gets a cross in. Pope clears with his knees. Just having a look now at the replay. Tonali goes in on the challenge with O'Reilly. Not sure.
It's a foul on Tonali, if anything. I think Minter there should cross the ball, gets into a good area, he shoots from a tight angle, he gets saved, little melee around the penalty spot, and it's O'Reilly who actually steps across. Tonali, who's looking to kind of get onto the ball or clear it, he just steps that right leg across, and he doesn't even get the foul either. I think he actually ends up giving a goal kick to Newcastle in the end, the referee.
Can Newcastle find a goal? Most fans think 2 home wins, 2 away draws would see them into Champions League football for next season. They've got Chelsea home next, then Arsenal away and Everton at home. They're coming forward through Barnes. Now it's with Isak, who's got some room, 30 yards from goal, finds Gordon on the edge of the penalty area. He puts in a right foot shot. and that is not very clever. It's high over the crossbar. Looked like he rushed a little bit rusty, Gordon, but there were definitely spaces that he's not happy about there, Hertzler. And while they prepare to take the goal kick, Brighton will get an update from the Women's Championship. Birmingham versus London City. Emily Herbert.
Well, it's 2 in quick succession for London City, but Birmingham have just got one back. It's Birmingham City 1, London City 2. Boy Halaka this time for London. A set-piece header in swinger from the left inside the 6-yard box, and that might just do it for their promotion hopes. They'll be promoted to the WSL with a draw. They've got a 1-goal cushion now. Birmingham need a win to go up. They've got less than half an hour to find at least 2 goals. Birmingham City 1, London City 2.
Brighton in possession, working the ball out from the back with Van Hecke, who's been excellent for me today. Forward they come over the halfway line now. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. Ball into the chest. Oh, that's good play. Very, very strong from Minter, who charges down the clearance from Trippier to throw in for Newcastle, but he's been brilliant, Minter. Let's go for an update. Wigan-Warrington, magic weekend. The hardest working man on 5 Live, Matt Newsom.
Doing my best, John. Wigan 12, Warrington 4. So Wigan scoring. They're almost playing in fast forward at times in this game. Jay Field and Bevan French combining. French finishing off. Jake Thewlis got bundled over by referee Chris Candle, for whom it all got a little bit too quick for. But his mood might just have been improved. He's just scored in the corner, and Warrington are back in it. Wigan 12, Warrington 4.
Newcastle in possession, coming over halfway with Isak. They've got some room here, Newcastle. They've spread the game here. Here's Gordon, corner of the penalty area. Right foot, poor low ball, intercepted by Brighton. He wins a header though. Brighton hook it clear. High spinning ball, Brighton clear it away. Another goal. Can't be a fifth for Brentford, can it? Sahel Sahi.
No, it's not, John. It's the second for Manchester United. It's Brentford 4, Manchester United 2. 8 minutes to go. It's Garnacho with the goal. Nice 1-2 between him and Eriksson, just outside the penalty area. Right-footed shot, and it fizzed past Flecken. One of those goals that you see Garnacho score every now and again. Brentford 4, Manchester United 2.
8 minutes to go, plus added time. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. Goal kick here for Brighton. So we'll get an update from Spurs-Chelsea, which is live on BBC 2, by the way. Here's Sarah Mulkerrins.
Chelsea still leading by a goal to 0 from that Macario penalty in the first half. The champions much better in the second, bringing more intensity. Hamano has just had a shot from the edge of the area. Strong hand from Kopp to keep it out. Up the other end, Summonen, she had a free kick 25 yards out, fizzed it just wide of the near post. It's Spurs 0, Chelsea 1.
Thank you, Sarah. Newcastle in possession on halfway with Livramento. Eddie Howe standing with his hands on his hips. He's unzipped his jacket, and he's trying to think what he could do next potentially. He's put Wilson up with Isak. He's got Gordon on the left. There's definitely more space for the forward players of Newcastle as they commit more men forward here towards the end of this game. And they've got possession now with Tonali, 35 yards from goal. Square to Cher, who's in a really advanced position. Lovely free from Barnes, goes down, free kick inside the D. Went down pretty late there and in stages, Barnes. I think there was contact, but this is a free kick in a dangerous area. And the Brighton manager, Fabian Hertzler, can't believe they've snaked out a boot there, but they're picking up little pockets now. Danny Gabidon.
Yeah, it is a foul. Van Hecke just stepping out from that centre-back position, edge of the 18-yard box, and he just lunges in. And there's been a few of those kind of late tackles from Brighton. They've got away with it so far. Almost.
It's another one though where Barnes has gone down into the challenge without the contact.
I think he is looking for it a little bit, but I do think there is contact there. He doesn't win the ball, Van Hecke. There is contact there, and yes, he does make a little bit of a meal of it after. But you have to be so sure as a centre-back when you're stepping out into those positions about making a challenge or not. On that occasion, Van Hecke, who's been excellent this afternoon, doesn't get anything on the ball, and this is a really dangerous position. Fabian Cher, Trippier over the ball here.
Yeah, Cher and Trippier. It's one of those that you might say, oh, it's a bit too close. It's only 19 yards out, this. It's inside the D. It's just left of centre. Brighton have got 5 in the wall and the draft excluder and someone ready to charge as well. Newcastle have got 3 of their own just on the edge of the wall and 1 on the other side. So will it be Trippier? Will it be Cher? Trippier's walked away from the ball, so I think this is going to be Fabian Cher. Cher, up he steps, right-footed, hits the wall, shouts for handball, nodded towards goal by Wilson and saved, and it's another penalty, is it? Has Craig Pawson given another penalty here for Newcastle United? This is extraordinary.
I think he has.
3 penalties awarded, the first 2 were waved away, and this one I think has been given for handball against Brighton. Yeah, it's definitely handball. On the edge of the wall, what's he thinking?
Ayari, what is he doing?
What's he doing, Ayari?
What is he doing?
He's just literally put out his left hand to deliberately stop the ball. It's like he's trying to catch it with his left hand.
Trying to be a goalkeeper. He had a teammate just to the side of him as well, who possibly would have blocked that himself, and he's just stuck that left arm out, and that's a moment of madness, really. There's no way they're getting away with this one.
Are they checking offside?
Well, quite possibly they are checking for something, possibly offside. There are a couple of Newcastle players here looking at the replay who kind of go early, running behind early, but
it hasn't reached them, has it?
No, it hasn't reached them, so I can only think they're just checking here, making sure about the handball.
Why would they be checking to make sure of a handball? He's almost caught it.
Well, he has.
Another VAR check. This one, though, we think will be given. It's a very blatant handball. Craig Pawson was right, but maybe the check is because of the players in an offside position. They just keep rewinding the handball over and over again. What's going on here, Danny?
I really don't know. Definitely hits his hand.
Still going with the check. Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. Big moment this in Newcastle's season. And Brighton's. Brighton 8th as it stands. Wilson's header almost in, by the way. Brilliant save by Verbruggen. Well, that's a baffling check. You can watch it yourself later on Match of the Day 2. But that's a very, very strange check. He was right, Craig Pawson, and then they've taken 3 minutes to tell him he's right.
I'm none the wiser. That couldn't have been just for the handball. They must have been looking at something else there, VAR, but I'm not exactly sure what it was.
Alexander Isak, with the ball under his right arm, spins it a couple of times in his hands and places it on the spot. 22 Premier League goals, the most by a Newcastle player since Alan Shearer in 03-04. This is to make it 23, the most since Shearer in 01-02. He's had some big moments, Alexander Isak. He's been anonymous in this game so far. Hands on hips. He's up against Verbruggen. Upsets Isak and scores! And the tsunami erupt behind the goal. And he immediately goes and runs and gets the ball. And now there's pushing and shoving in the goal with Verbruggen. They want the ball back, Newcastle. Strips it out of Verbruggen's hands. And Alexander Isak, 23 Premier League goals for the season, waves his arms up into the air to the tsunami, and they're level, Newcastle. Brighton 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, never in doubt. Had a fantastic season. Alexander Isak sends the keeper the wrong way, gives him the eyes and just whips it low into that bottom corner. Pressure penalty, but he's cool, calm, collected. Just seen a replay of the handball again. It's as blatant as you'll ever see. I don't know why VAR took so long. But you have to say it's probably been coming. Newcastle haven't played poorly in this game. They've just been poor really in the final third, been unlucky with a couple of penalty shouts, but on this occasion they get the rub of the green. It's a brilliant finish from Isak.
We're in the final minute of the game, and we've just learnt there's going to be 9 minutes of added time. And here goes Harvey Barnes into the penalty area, to the byline. He's got it on his left foot, back across. Good defending from the captain for Brighton, Lewis Dunk. Clears away, left-footed, high. Scrapping for the ball is Minter with Guimaraes. Now they free Lamptey, but he can't get there. Pope comes out of his goal, not moving very well. Nick Pope, the ball's up behind us and bounces 3 rows in front. You almost won that, Danny, with your bobble hat on.
It's going to go ahead, that.
See, your instincts are still there as Minter squares the ball. They're in possession now with Ayari. Brighton now the ones going looking for the winner. 9 minutes of added time confirmed for one of these two teams to find a winner. It would be Newcastle's first draw in 20, and they've got some space. And here goes Gordon over the halfway line. Left-hand side, midway inside the Brighton half now. Left-hand touchline, finds Tonali inside. Tonali, back out on the left is Livramento this time. Who is going to go for this, or do they both settle for the point? Gomez and Gruder are going to come on for Brighton. They're stripped and ready on the edge of the technical area, waiting to come on. Trippier is the momentum with Newcastle. Trippier goes back to Cher, halfway line, of both sides just thinking, wait a minute, let's not go crazy, let's not do anything silly. Would we take a point?
I think Newcastle feel now they can go on and win this. 9 minutes left.
Gordon goes down, free kick. Brighton fans on the far side don't like it. The fans stand up on the far side and make that gesture like they're throwing something when they're not. And it's going to be a free kick left-hand touchline to Brighton, and we're going to see this double change here. Gomez and Gruder coming on, and suddenly those Newcastle fans behind the goal to my right are full of it. Quick free kick. Isak dinks the ball to the far post. There's no one there. I don't know why he didn't have a go there, Isak. Byrne wins a challenge. Is that a corner? No, says the assistant, who's well placed. Cleared away by Brighton. Cher puts in a right foot cross, chested up in the air and chested back to the goalkeeper. Double chest from Brighton, sees it back to Verbruggen. You don't see that very often.
I'm not sure. Initially Lewis Dunk wanted to do that. Well, he was on with the first chest. He just chested it behind him into the path of Veltman, who chested it coolly back to his goalie.
Good challenge from Guimaraes in midfield. Finds Barnes, he goes back to Guimaraes. I'm not sure why in that case he'd go there, but Trippier with a good interception. It's good this now. 6.5 minutes left. And a yellow card for Danny Welbeck. That must be for something he said to Craig Pawson, I would have thought. Welbeck was complaining, he was having his shirt pulled. Must have said something to Craig Pawson, goes in the book.
Yeah, I think initially wanted the foul, Danny Welbeck, wasn't given. And then just remonstrating a little bit too much with the referee there and gets the yellow card.
O'Reilly comes off, and the goal scorer Minter as well, who's shaking his head. He really has put in everything today, Minter. Very impressive against his former club.
He's been very good. You know, the one bit of quality for Brighton in this game, and it's the kind of player you just don't want to play against if you're a defender, because not everything he does kind of comes off, but he's always trying to make something happen for his team. Bundles of energy, he's really positive, direct.
Free kick for Brighton. In a really dangerous position to cross, you would think. It's on the left-hand side. A chance to deliver right-footed into the penalty area. Can Brighton have a say here at the end? They've barely threatened the Newcastle goal, you've got to say. They've had 4 efforts at goal, 1 blocked, 1 off target, 2 on target. One of those obviously was the goal.
Well, hasn't had much to do, Nick Pope, apart from pick the ball out of his net once. But Newcastle back in his game now, and it's going to be an interesting finish.
Free kick from the left end. It's going to be whipped in. Left hand in the air, in it comes. Good looking delivery, this! Oh, and they put the header wide. My goodness me, Gomez, how's he missed? He's got a free header 6 yards out, and he's put it past the post. He's head in hand, and would you believe it, we've had another goal at Brentford. Sahel Sahi.
And Manchester United could be back in it. Brentford 4, Manchester United 3. Ahmed with the goal. He's been sensational since he's come on at the start of the second half. We've got 3 minutes still to play here, John. Brentford 4, Manchester United 3.
It's not another comeback, is it, for Manchester United? Another one of those, like we saw in the Europa League. Sven Botman is coming on here. They're just getting some minutes back into his legs gradually after his long layoff, of course. And Emil Kraft is also going to come on, a right back. Here comes Barnes, got some space, got Callum Wilson with him, who hits it, and it's either tipped over or he's hit the bar. I think it might well have been tipped over. It's a terrific save by Verbruggen, And they've got a corner here, Newcastle.
Yeah, top save. Really good save. I think maybe the shot takes a slight deflection, maybe off Dunk as well. Difficult to see, but they turn the ball over Brighton. They get inside the 18-yard box. Wilson with a first-time strike, catches the strike really well. Has to react quickly. Verbruggen does so, tips it over the bar.
In comes the right-footed corner from Guimaraes. Headed up in the air by Lamptey. Referee spotted an infringement in the penalty area off the ball, and it's going to be a free kick for Brighton. And we have got 3 minutes of added time remaining. Fabian Schär's coming off for Botman, and Trippier's coming off for Kraft, and it's 1-1, 3 minutes to go, and you feel like there could still be a winner. Let's go for full time though. West Ham Spurs, Aaron Paul.
West Ham 1, Spurs 1. Goals from Odebear and Bowen see the points shared in what was otherwise a bland London derby, but a good run out for those Spurs players ahead of Thursday's game in the Europa League. West Ham 1, Spurs 1.
Brighton play the long ball forward. Really good header. One there by Diego Gomez, who probably is still wondering how he missed. That's the one he's going to think about tonight when he's going to sleep. How did I miss that header? How did I not put it on target across the goalkeeper? You're just waiting for from our angle, just waiting for the net to bulge, and it never happened. Diagonal ball to Estupiñán, who goes down clutching his face. Is he given what's he given here? He's just given the goal kick, Craig Pawson, and it's going to be a free kick. Sorry, a goal kick for Newcastle. He's going to check that Estupiñán's okay, and that'll just eat a few more seconds at the end of this game. Danny Gavidon.
Well, he definitely gets caught there with a stray arm, Estupiñán. But I was just looking at Diego Gomez, and he was just shaking his head, and rightly so, because he has to score that chance. It's as simple as that. The delivery from Guda's right on the money. He's probably 7 yards out, central area, no one's marking him, free header, he's got time to see the cross coming over, has to score. It's not even close in the end, the header, it's probably 3 or 4 yards wide.
Pope's goal kick, Van Hecke, towering header, slightly out of position though. Here's Wilson, brings it down, does he get hold of it? Can he get hold of the ball here? Newcastle bobbling around, they have got possession. Tonali swings the ball out to the right, looks offside, Barnes, yeah, flag goes up, and he is offside. And we've got 1 minute to go of added time, and it has finished at Brentford. They've beaten Manchester United by 4 goals to 3. And if you play fantasy football, nothing from Mbumo. A lot of captains out there today, a lot of captains for Isak as well, who scored the penalty to draw Newcastle level in this game. 45 seconds of added time remaining. Still to come, Chelsea-Liverpool with Pat Nevin and Alistair Bruce Ball. Long ball forward from Newcastle. Van Hecke is back there and nods the ball back to Verbruggen. And Hertzler wants him to get on with this and try and go and win it. There's Byrne with a Peter Kay-like Avett at the back on the volley. Forward. Lamptey just tips it round. Livramento goes down. Craig Pawson studying it, seeing there's a free kick. Scuff clearance. Ayari for Brighton. They've got good possession here. Last knockings here at the Amex. Poor ball in. Gordon, can he get hold of this? No, Brighton have possession. Both teams trying to go and win it. Lamptey on the right. Surely the last chance in the game. Level with the 18-yard box for Brentford. Goes down the outside. Tries a cross. Livramento blocks. Lamptey's still got possession. A hush. Chance to cross maybe from the right, but he just misses his kick. That's a free kick. And it's going to be, that's going to be it, I think. Newcastle with a free kick in their own penalty area. Looks like it's going to finish 1-1.
Yeah, there's a couple of opportunities there for Brighton to just service the box, and they're just trying to be a bit too cute, a bit too clever. And in the end, end up giving a silly foul away on Tonali inside the 6-yard box there. I have to say it's been a fantastic game in terms of the intensity and the energy that both teams have kind of put in. It's lacked a bit of quality at times. Both teams have struggled a bit in terms of their end product in the final third. Both teams going to have to settle for a draw, John.
There it is, the full-time whistle, entertaining towards the end. Newcastle's first draw in a long time in the Premier League. A point at Brighton, still no win here, and Brighton so close to getting 8th in the Premier League and going above Bournemouth, but they'll have to settle for a share of the spoils. I scared apparently a load of fantasy football players that Mbeumo has been given one of the assists in the Brentford versus Manchester United game on the FPL website, but not on my app that I was checking. Decent game. Who do you think will be the happier, Danny Gavin, on at the end of that?
Oh, wow. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I think both teams will settle for the point. It still leaves them in a very good position in terms of trying to qualify for Europe. I think Brighton probably needed the points more, I would say. They'll be the more disappointed in terms of getting their nose in front and not being able to kind of see the result out. But you have to say, for me, Newcastle were the better team throughout the game. They looked the more dangerous team. They just lacked a bit of quality in that final third. Got in some great areas on a number of occasions, but just weren't able to find the quality on that final pass, the final cross. But they kept going. Obviously had a bit of bad luck, obviously, with a couple of the penalty shouts, but managed to get one in the end. And that man, Alexander Isak, who's had a fantastic season up until now, coming up with another big moment just to kind of keep that momentum going. So important games to go now for both teams. And as I said, leaves both teams still in a decent position, but Brighton probably needed the 3 points more today than Newcastle.
In the first half, 28th minute, the boozer for Craig Pawson, the referee, as he goes off. He awarded Newcastle 3 penalties in this game. The first 2 were chalked off. The third one was given, and it finished Brighton 1, Newcastle 1.
Danny, I can see the Newcastle players just going over to their fans there. Anthony Gordon with that number 10 on his back. We've been talking about their Champions League challenge. They're 4th in the Premier League. They're 3 points above Chelsea, having now played a game more. So Chelsea could drop Newcastle down to the 5th and final Champions League place. But having Gordon come back and look so sharp bodes well for them in the final 3 games.
Oh, it certainly does. He's such an important player for Eddie Howe, for this Newcastle team. We heard Eddie Howe kind of speaking in the week where he's so pleased to kind of get him back, and he's had a full week of training, and it's just about kind of getting him up to the levels that we know he can play at. So for him to kind of get on and get some minutes, and as you say, Steve, he did look really sharp when he came on. He had initially straight into the game, and we thought initially maybe it was a penalty on Tariq Lamptey, but it was just outside the box, and he's had a couple of efforts on goal as well. Probably looked a little bit rusty in terms of his shooting, but what a player to kind of get back for the running. Not quite at it, I would say, Newcastle today. We've seen them play better in recent weeks. They've obviously been on a fantastic run. Didn't quite have the quality in the final third today. But still a decent performance, and was still, for me, the better out of the 2 teams. So I think Eddie Howe, in the end, with the way the game went, and obviously not getting the 2 penalties, he'll be delighted to come away with a point, and it just kind of keeps that momentum going for them. They're still in a very good position, obviously, to finish in those Champions League places come end of the season.